Welcome here into Teal, the show. It is another Friday night, and we are another step closer to the regular season, but we got a couple more preseason games that we got to get past, including a pretty important one this week against the New Orleans Saints. That game's set for Sunday, so it's going to feel a little bit like a regular season matchup. So as we kind of get into our mode for this year, let's bring in Kyle Ashley. All right, Kyle, we are mostly through training camp at this point. We have survived this far. We got joint practices next week down in Miami, so that's something that we're kind of looking forward to. Thursday next week.
Yes, no, the joint practices will be fun, but before we get into any of that, we do have some injury updates that we need to get into.
Yeah, look, it's that time of camp, and the guys are kind of winded down and tired. So Coach Cohen talking after practice on Friday, and look, he said, honestly, the guys are beaten up a little bit, and that goes applies a little bit of the context to evaluating the roster. So a handful of guys are sidelined. So we're going to see just how quickly they can get healthy, but a lot of it's precautionary. Guys like Anton Harrison, Chuma Edoga, those are the two new names on the list. Tyson Campbell has been sidelined for the majority of the week as he deals with an injury that he got last week in the preseason game. But the one that caused the minor panic, right, is Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter did not practice fully today, but he did participate, had his helmet, was out there with the team through stretching and even early warm-up. So a precautionary upper body tweak for Travis Hunter, should be fine, but he was sidelined a little bit.
We also did see Anton and Edoga out there. They were just working on the side as well.
Yeah, look, the guys are out there working. A big one that I know some people at home will be excited about, how Eric Armstead back out on the practice field on Friday for the first time in what feels like a while. So we've been waiting to see Eric kind of get cranked up. So that brings us to another guy who has found his way off of the injured list, right? Mason Smith. So the defensive tackle spot for the Jaguars has kind of been, look, it's banged up. Right now it's tough to figure out exactly what they have because, well, a couple of the guys that are going to play a big role this season have been sidelined. Eric Armstead, one of them, but Mason Smith. Both of those guys were back out on the practice field today. So they're getting closer and closer. I got a chance to catch up with Mason Smith after practice. He says, despite being sidelined for a little bit of a soft tissue injury, first time he's had to deal with an injury like this, but he feels good. Maybe even a little bit better than he felt like before the injury.
I feel great, bro. You know, we kind of took a precautionary measures to, you know, get back to where I needed to be, but I feel great. You know, I've been ramping it up now for 2 weeks, just on my own though, you know what I'm saying, not with the team. But I've been ramping it up for a couple of weeks now, so I mean, it's kind of, you know, getting back to normal and, you know, just getting used to it again.
Yeah, look, that's good. That's what you need from Mason. Mason's a guy going into his second season. The Jaguars need him to make a big jump forward, to take a big step. Liam Cohen said that he even went back last year, watched the Jaguars game against the Raiders. I don't know if you remember that one, Kyle. But he said he watched that game because he felt like that was Mason's best game. And he said it was a fun watch, which, you know, look, when Mason's doing his thing out there, he's pretty good.
That might have been, did he do the dance in that one?
That was one of the dance games. That's his sack dance. That's his sack dance. So every time he gets one, which late in the season, Mason was taking those big steps forward, and we're starting to see that. So I think that's why there's some excitement of getting him back out there on the field and in the mix in this defensive tackle spot. Because right now, look, it's banged up. You need to get Eric Armstead healthy. You need to get Mason Smith healthy. And then you can finally see what you got in the middle of that defensive line.
The defense does need some help, so it'll be good to get some of those guys back. We also did talk to Jordan Lewis after the scrimmage earlier this week, and he thought the defense performed a little better than they had in the past.
How'd you feel like the defense did today?
We kind of started off slow, but I feel like that we got our bearings, and then we started to make plays and, you know, talk some trash out there. It got chippy, which is good. You know, you'd rather say whoa than start. But I feel like we did pretty good at finishing, and that's what you want to do.
Y'all look like you got a little bit of a trash-talking bunch this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, you know, just challenging people. That's what Camp wants us to do. Coach Milo wants us to do. We want to go out there and challenge people at the line of scrimmage every single play. So that's what we want to hang our hats on, just going out there challenging people, making sure they're mentally and physically tough.
Can you feel the defense kind of starting to gel at this point as you get closer to the season?
I feel like we're getting that attitude. We know what it takes to go out there and dominate people and impose our wills, which is what we saw, you know, going into, you know, the second quarter of this scrimmage. So I feel like we did pretty good in setting the tempo in that aspect and finishing, you know, drives and finishing the practice.
Yeah, look, it's big. The defense has to gel and come together because you need them to be something. One of the other things that caught my ear from talking to Mason Smith today, Mason said that he felt like Coach Campanile was the type of defensive coordinator, the type of coach that this team needed right now. He mentioned that he played for Coach O when he was at LSU and how, tough love, tough coaching, and how Coach Camp brings that to the table. And these guys are going to respond. Typically, you hear it where, like, defenses kind of take on their personality of their coordinator a little bit, and Coach Camp's an edgy guy. And if this defense is going to be good, they're going to have to play with a little edge to them. All good defenses do.
Every player we talk to on the defense has good things to say about Coach Camp. So I'd love for the defense to, kind of assume that identity of him and get after it, because if they do, then they seem like they'd be pretty good, because he likes to be locked in, intense, and that's the exact type of defense that you need.
I love the motivational tactics. He gives them something different each day. I think we talked to Dennis Gardeck earlier in the week, and he started flexing, talking about the stuff that Coach Camp was talking to them and playing like boxing videos and stuff for them before practice. DeJuan Smoot told us it was a nature video of a jaguar attacking a crocodile just because it felt like it. So he wants these guys to play with that edge out there on defense, play with a little fire. Maybe we'll get to see a little bit more of it before the Saints game, or they're on the field for the Saints game this week. That's going to be a big one. Each one of these games does matter. I know we're going to see a lot of guys that are fighting for those jobs on the 53. We still got some time here on Teal the Show. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some of those guys down the roster that are fighting for jobs and why getting out on the field for this game, they might need to impress if they're going to get off that bubble and get onto the roster. We'll talk all about it coming up right after this quick break. All right, welcome back here into Teal the Show. So preseason game number 2, 90 guys still on the roster, a long way to go, and some cuts that are looming. They got to get from 90 down to 53, and we're less than 2 weeks away from cut time, and that's always a tough time around the NFL, and a lot of these guys are going to be looking over their shoulder a little bit. Kyle, so these games, every rep literally matters, especially for these young guys that are trying to find a way on the roster.
So we've been out there on the field. And who are you looking for, and what are you looking for from these players, maybe these guys on the bubble that are just trying to battle for that spot?
Honestly, I always watch special teams the closest this time of year. Like, I love catching up with the special teams coordinator. So Heath Farwell is one of my favorite guys to talk to, and you always ask him, all right, what guys are beating down your door or have impressed you out there on special teams? Because the quickest way for a guy that's undrafted or that's probably not going to make the roster to find a way on is to have a role on special teams. I mean, we start talking about wide receiver 6, and while it's great that he can catch passes, the way you earn a job as wide receiver 6 is play special teams, because that is where you can help the team from at day one. A guy like Tim Jones had a pretty lengthy time here in Jacksonville because he was really good at special teams. Not necessarily that he was a bad receiver, but his impact for the team was out there in those special teams phases. So I think that's where I'll keep a close eye on. So Heath Farwell gave a shout out to a guy like Antonio Johnson, Rayon Lane, Chandler Brayboy. These are all names of guys that we're kind of looking at like, are they on the bubble? Can they make the roster? Even though Antonio's in a little bit of a different position, competing for maybe a starting job, but having that special teams feather in your pocket means, okay, well, I'm probably going to be here in Jacksonville. So those are some guys that we'll be keeping an eye on. Chandler Brayboy was one that caught me off guard that I wasn't real sure about, but we'll see, maybe.
But also Trenton Irwin, Austin Trammell, those are two guys that they do special teams as well. They could maybe sneak their way onto there as well. Yeah,
when you start talking about down that wide receiver depth chart, Kyle, look, it's going to be competitive. I think we can get down to the top 4. And then if they go to 6 is the question, so that would leave us with 2 spots. I think a guy like Joshua Cephas has made a real strong case to be on the roster. He's made a real strong case. But has he locked it up? By no means. Austin Trammell is a guy that, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I wrote him off early on and didn't think he was going to make the roster. But it's looking more and more like he's a guy who's going to find a way to squeeze on. He gives you some help as a returner. So does Trenton Irwin. Both of those guys can give you a little special teams value, and that's what's important. That goes for linebackers. It goes for safeties. It goes for corners. It goes for running backs. So like a guy like Bashal Tootin, who's also cross-trained as a kickoff returner. We knew Tootin was going to be on the roster, but that's value. That's where you can help the team.
Yeah, playing multiple areas definitely adds value. Gardeck talked about that as well.
Yep.
So one quick question we did have. So people wonder, are we writing Etienne off? Do you think he is the guy?
Look, right now, I think it is 1A and 1B with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. And I kind of came in and I said, okay, well, Tank is going to be your guy and Travis is going to be this guy. But I still think it's what and what. Like, if you ask me at the end of week 1 who has more handoffs, who has more carries, I'm still probably leaning Tank. If you ask me who has more touches, wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the day we're talking about Travis Etienne. I think he's going to get the ball in some more creative ways than just being a historic running back, taking handoff. Short passes, little dump offs, little bubble screens. He'll start off at wide receiver. You'll be looking around the field trying to figure out where one's at. There's going to be 2 running backs on the field a lot. I think both of these guys are going to get some work. I know people want the rookie, Bashal Tutin, to roll in there week 1. I just don't see that in the cards. I really don't. I know the fantasy football folks out there are keeping tabs. Shucks, I got fantasy football teams, and I'm kind of keeping tabs on who's going to be taking the handoffs. I just don't see Tutin as a week 1 guy. I just don't.
Hey, I can agree. But like you said, Travis, he's doing multiple things. That's creating more value. That's probably why we're seeing him a little more than maybe some people expected at this point.
But the skill sets are different. The skill sets are different, and that's where his skill set fits the best.
All right, I did want to get into one thing here. So ESPN, they did drop this misery rating thing where you can, answer some questions and put in your team. I did do the Jaguars.
Okay.
And I did say that I've been a fan for over 15 years, and my misery rating is 100. And I'll tell you that is not good.
Yeah, is it a 1 to 100 rating?
It's 1 to 100, and I think 100 is the worst. It actually says things are looking pretty grim. I'd offer to buy you a cold beverage, but I'm just a robot in your computer. So.
Well, there you go. Okay, so you've been pretty miserable, just like a lot of Jaguars fans out there. Hopefully, this is the start of something new, and maybe that misery rating can start to tick down bit by bit, maybe this season. We'll see. Look, it's tough to judge the team when they're practicing against each other. Ask me after next week's joint practices with the Dolphins how I feel. And I think we might be able to get a little bit of a different temperature just to how they match up. But you know what? The Dolphins are having joint practices this week, and they're not looking so good out there either. So maybe the Dolphins aren't good. Who knows? We'll see how it all shakes out. But right now, it's just tough because if the defense has a good day, then the offense has a bad day. If the offense has a good day, then the defense had a bad day because you're practicing against one another. So it's real. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. It's about Coach Cohen said it after practice today. It's not about peaking tomorrow. It's not about peaking right now. He wants to be at his best for week 1, which is still a couple of weeks away. Even if we feel like it's right around the corner, it's still a couple of weeks away. So
at your best when your best is needed.
That's right. That's right. And you really don't even want to peak in week 1. You want to peak in October, November. So, but it's a long season. We'll start with week 1. We'll start with week 1, which we are counting down to. Hey, we do want to offer, after this game, we want to know what you think. Duval dial-up, the phone number is out there. We'll pop it up on your screen here. You can give us a call. Let us know how you feel about the Jaguars after this game, and you might hear yourself during the Sunday Sports Zone on Sunday or on Teal the Show on Monday night next week. So that'll do it for us here at Teal the Show. Make sure that we are part of your regular season schedule because we are right around the corner from that. Every Monday, Friday night, you can catch us right here on Channel 4, 1120. Good night, everybody, and go Jags.